Warnings come in various forms, but one artist chose to convey his message through art. Art, though silent, has the power to speak volumes, captivating all who lay eyes upon it. George Grosz, a German artist, stood as a beacon of satirical and critical expression during the early 20th century. Through his art, Grosz vehemently expressed his disdain for Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime, leaving an indelible mark on German society. Grosz's artwork went beyond political criticism. It encompassed a range of themes and styles. As a pioneer of the Dada and New Objectivity movements, he employed caricature and satire to portray exaggerated and distorted images, mocking social classes, war, and, most notably, Hitler and the Nazis. Grosz vehemently opposed Hitler's totalitarian ideology, authoritarian rule, and the regime's suppression of artistic freedom. His aim was to expose the hypocrisies, injustices, and dangers of Hitler's ideology, enlightening the world about the dark and destructive path the Nazis would lead. Grosz's artwork resonated with many who felt silenced, or afraid to express their dissent. By challenging authority and societal norms, he became a threat to the Nazis, who sought absolute control. But Grosz would not be silenced. He fought back with his pencil, brush, and canvas, using his art to question and challenge the status quo. However, Grosz's courageous artistic career came at a price. It endangered his family, his career, and even his life. Yet, his artwork played a crucial role in shedding light on Hitler's ideology and raising awareness of the atrocities committed by the Nazis. Grosz was born George Ehrenfried Grosz on July 26, 1893, in Berlin, Germany. Growing up in a lower-middle-class family, he witnessed the struggles and hardships faced by the working class, which would later become a recurring theme in his art. Nurtured by his parents' support, Grosz developed a love for art from an early age. Despite facing bullying and expulsion from high school for refusing to conform, he dedicated himself to his artistic studies, eventually attending the Dresden Academy of Fine Arts. The experience of World War I profoundly impacted Grosz, leading him to express his distaste for war through his art. His sketchbooks were filled with powerful anti-war drawings, depicting the horrors and victims of war. These pieces reflected his deep aversion to violence and his desire for a world free from the destruction caused by conflict. Fit for active duty. 1916, which was of a skeleton being approved for war by a doctor that is standing in the middle of a room with military men sitting and standing around with serious looks on their face, or they are not paying attention. The military was allowing injured or sickly individuals to go back and fight in the war. The Funeral, 1917-19. This painting was dedicated to the playwright of Oskar Panizza and was about the first syphilis outbreak. This art piece depicts syphilis-ridden people who are mourning. A skeleton represents a grim reaper sitting on top of the coffin, drinking, portraying that he will be up waiting to take the dead. A sign on the doorway says, "Dance tonight," in German, showing that there will be a dance with the dead. There is a priest with a rash on his face throwing his hands up in the air while holding a cross. There seems to be chaos happening in the streets, with buildings looking like they are about to collapse. In George Grosz's autobiography, A Little Yes, and a Big No, he states, "In a strange street by night, a hellish procession of dehumanized figures mills, their faces reflecting alcohol, syphilis, plague. I painted this protest against a humanity that had gone insane." Grosz felt as though he was living in a mad world, full of death and sin that had no boundaries of where the destruction would end. Grosz's artwork captured the moral decay and decadence prevalent in German society during the Weimar Republic. He portrayed the excessive indulgence, corruption, and moral bankruptcy that had taken hold, warning of the consequences such a society could face. As Hitler's rise to power threatened the very fabric of German democracy, Grosz intensified his critique. He used grotesque and distorted figures to represent Hitler and his followers, exposing the inherent evil and danger they posed to society. Through his illustrations and political cartoons published in various publications, Grosz fearlessly lampooned Hitler and the Nazi regime. He used biting humor and biting satire to undermine their credibility and to show the absurdity of their ideologies. Despite the risks, Grosz refused to back down. His art became a weapon against oppression, as he believed that exposing the truth and challenging authority were essential to preserving freedom and humanity. Grosz's art stood as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of tyranny. His depictions of the horrors of war, the dangers of totalitarianism, and the importance of individuality and freedom resonated with many people around the world. When Hitler waged war upon modern art, Grosz was on the front line of being targeted for his work. Grosz used his words with drawing and painting, which upset Hitler and the Nazis. Degenerate art was a term used by the Nazis for paintings or other types of art they did not like. An exhibition was created to put these art pieces for everyone to view. In 1937, Hitler created 2 art exhibitions, the Degenerate Art Exhibition in Munich, Germany, to show and educate the German people on what type of art was unacceptable. Modern paintings, drawings, and sculptures were a few examples of art types displayed. The second was the Great Exhibition of German Art. This showcased Hitler's ideas on what his views on what Great Aryan art was. Hitler was angered by anti-Nazi artists and tried to attack them by taking their artwork, displaying it in a bad light, and destroying the rest. 15 pieces of Grosz's art pieces ended up in this exhibition. Over 300 of his art pieces were estimated to be confiscated, and an undocumented amount was destroyed. Eclipse of the Sun, 1926, was a masterpiece that displayed art politically. In the top left corner is a dollar sign that is darkened by the sun. This represents the greed of the Nazi regime. The headless people represent the mindless bureaucrats as they sit around General Paul von Hindenburg doing as he says. The donkey represents the German people who have big ears to listen to what is around and yet just stand around completely oblivious with their back turned to the violence which the bloody sword represents. Hitler in Hell, 1946, portrays Hitler as a grotesque figure who has a distorted face and is surrounded by fire and death. It creates a sense of chaos and pain, almost as if Hitler feels terrible for what he has done, yet he can't return or leave. Another art piece that depicts Grosz's distaste for the Nazis' ideology is The Pillars of Society, 1926. The name of the painting is after a play by Henrik Ibsen. This painting depicts the corrupt elite German class that has supported the ideologies of the Nazis. Grosz uses caricatures to portray a horrific view of those who had controlled society. In the front are refined men, one with a sword and a swastika on his neckline, another with a pile of dung for brains, and another with an upside-down teacup on his head. One of the men is holding a new paper that states, "Socialism must work," in German. All are depicting a lack of intelligence and wanting violence. In the background, a priest seems to be embracing the collapsing buildings surrounding him or praising what the Nazis believe in. In the back are German soldiers with angry faces and ready to fight. This painting is a prime example of how much Grosz despised Nazi rule. Fearing for his safety, Grosz made the difficult decision to leave Germany and seek refuge in the United States. Despite the challenges of starting anew in a foreign land, Grosz continued to create impactful art in America. He shifted his focus to themes of capitalism, consumerism, and the dangers of power and greed, leaving an enduring legacy in the art world. Ironically, Grosz died while returning to Berlin in 1959, the same place he tried to escape from. At least he was able to witness Germany after Hitler. George Grosz's artistic journey serves as a testament to the power of art to challenge, provoke, and inspire change. He fearlessly used his talent and voice to fight against oppression and tyranny, leaving an indelible mark on the art world and reminding us of the importance of speaking truth to power. May his legacy inspire others to use their talents and creativity to challenge injustice and oppression, even in the face of danger. Here are an array of George Grosz's art that he created throughout his life. Thanks for watching.